We must have been out of our minds. We must have been terribly in love to dare think we could raise children here and make them into a nation. The land was too vast. Maybe that's the reason. It was the vastness of it all. But when was it? At what moment did you and I grow apart at the same time? You were always off in a land yet to be tamed, a country yet to be possessed, while I could only dream of love and imagine how you looked. I was busy inventing your country. But we weren't alone, though we acted as if we were. But we weren't. They're only savages, you told me. We have every right. You had already settled in with them when I arrived. You had taken over their lands. In those days, they weren't called reserves. You took everything. The caribou, the snow geese, the seals, the lakes, the mountains, the forests. And you took the women who were there. It was through the womb that we came to know each other, the Indian woman and I. We fashioned new blood ties. I am proud when I discover her features in the faces of my children. It is a good and proper thing. I understand her even better, now that I am a wife living in a conquered land, a colonized nation. 1760. Does this date mean anything to you? Do you remember when I first arrived? Not every girl is chosen to settle a foreign land. Because when I arrived, it was to become a wife. There were whole boatloads of us. Nuns, merchandise, provisions. We were all thrown together. I was chosen because I was strong, courageous, of good reputation, and besides, of comely appearance. I was even given a title to flatter your pride. I was a fille du roi, sent by the king, if you please. The living wasn't easy. Times were hard in those days. The winters were endless. And the evenings interminable when you were away. The remoteness, the solitude, the children who were born, and the children who died. The endless waiting for you. I didn't go out very often. I didn't really know my new homeland. But I would see it through your eyes when you returned from your hunting and fishing expeditions, or a visit to the town. The endless waiting for you. It was during those long hours that my fingers invented the image of our country. L'étoffe du pays, the striped Catalogne, the quilts, les tourtières, le ragoût de boulette, our red toques, les ceintures fléchées. Today we are called Marie-Josée, Suzanne, Hélène, Nicole, Monique. We're all descendants of the same race. We number 100, 100,000. We are les Québécoises. The countless acts of faith, hope, and love. The many vows we had to take to God and to this, our land. But you were always craving to leave and make a fresh start. You could never really help your sense of adventure. And then you would take me along. La Gaspésie, la Beauce, les pays d'en haut, l'Abitibi, le lac Saint-Jean. La 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 la. Each time I would drop everything, literally bursting with joy. Our family, our village, our house. La 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 la. And each time we would bundle everything up and set off with the children. It was like opening up new land. I guess we were both a bit reckless at heart, but not for the same reasons. Bring us all those dreams, those beautifully impossible dreams of yours. This is what we are here for. And what were our dreams made of? Ah, yes. A warm house, land as far as the eye could see, Hare, moose, partridge at every meal, beaver and mink coats. Nothing was too grand for your fille du roi. Though it wasn't in those days that it all started. That you and I grew apart from each other at the same time. No, it wasn't then. We are all part of this unwritten history, and I'm beginning to think that we played a big part in it.
The court is of the opinion that the prisoner, Maria Josepha Corriveau, widow Dodier, is guilty of the crime laid to her charge, and thus adjudges her to suffer death for the same by being hanged in chains whenever the governor shall think proper.
She was only 30 years old, La Corriveau. Do you remember how we used to frighten one another with tales of how she attacked men, even after her death? Or so the legend goes. The devil's creature, the witch, the damned one. But do you know what really happened? Do you know that her trial was conducted in a language which neither she nor her witnesses could understand? And you know what language that was. English never did become our mother tongue. Yes, sir, way back in 1763. They knew what they were doing in those days. And even 200 years later, the Corriveau women of today are still doing time in English, with the added insult of not being spoken to in their own tongue. I'm sure you find this situation as intolerable as I do. But there's more than this to the Corriveau case. which is why I've brought it up. It is the image of a criminal, as shaped by legend, but of a female criminal. And that's a lot more serious than a male criminal. Like a woman who's drunk. But it goes even deeper than that. What is a crime for us is not a crime for you. Prostitutes go to prison, but not the men who pay to use them. You claim that abortion is a criminal offense, but when you're with the boys, you brag about all the women you've had. Do you ever stop to think about this? You could never really help your love of adventure. I would stay and mind the children. I was used to it. How I cried when you were drafted. If you only knew how much I love you. Hurry up, all aboard. Join the army. Visit the world. England, Africa, Italy, France, and all for free. Free clothes, food, and lodging. Entertainment for everyone. There'll be movie stars and girls for everyone. You'll even be paid $1.30 a day if you stay with us to the end. They always told me that a mother's place was in the home. But suddenly, this was no longer true. The country had to be saved. Family, work, the nation. From 1914 to 18, and from 39 to 45, killing became an honorable way of life. Life and death, you and I can't attach the same meaning to them. Don't count on me for any violence. Heroes, I have made enough of them. I was so often told that my sons were important, that they were born to save the world. I don't believe this anymore. How proud I was of my sons who were successful in life, because I was told that men, well, they were born to be successful. My son the doctor, my son the lawyer, my son the minister, my son the priest. Of course, I wouldn't refer to my son the rebel. My son the judge, my son the engineer, my son the surgeon, my son the poet. I hadn't yet learned to speak of my son who had no job, or my son the drug addict. Just as I've never learned to speak of my daughters with the same note of pride. It's funny that with women everything seems so much simpler. We talk about women among ourselves. Even while making this film, we couldn't help talking about them.
Yes, in my day, that's the way it was, when you got engaged.
They would take photographs of you?
Of course, it was the custom.
Who had sisters in her family?
I guess we all did.
And that must be Marthe.
It stopped with my generation.
I see.
But I think nobody has ever heard of Fabiola Vézina in her history of Canada.
No.
Well, this is how she looked on the day of her graduation at Bellevue Convent in Quebec. She is one of my heroines.
And who's Fabiola Vézina?
She's my mother. She was, I'm not sure, maybe 17 years old. She had 11 children and died at 42. And as I was the youngest in the family, well, I never even got to know her. Somehow, I think I have missed out on a great love. You have graduation photographs, too?
That's 2 generations later. There are fewer children, but I don't think the situation has really changed much. These women were always known well. My mother was always known as the daughter of, the sister of, the cousin of, even though she comes from a well-known family. Her name is forgotten. She is a Lesage, the family.
The handsome politician?
Yes, the contest winner.
You look like your mother.
Do you think so?
The shape of the face.
But she's taller than I am, more rounded. It took me a long time to discover who she really was, outside this complex tangle of family ties. When I was young, it was hard to live with this kind of social pressure, to be always referred to as, well, men were the reference points. It's only later that I discovered the real relationship between a mother and a daughter. It's true, it's incredible, and yet it's all part of our story. I think we're discovering nowadays the true relationship with one's mother. But society likes to make us forget that.
We forgot their names just as they were obliged to give theirs up.
My grandmother wasn't well known, but she was somebody just the same. This isn't a good photograph.
My mother wasn't well known either.
No, but I mean the name.
That's the grandmother you were talking about?
Yes, she was extraordinary. First of all, she hurried to have her family. Adopted 3 children and had 5, because she wanted to do her duty by her husband. But as soon as the last of her children left home, she left her husband and never spoke to him again.
Why not?
Well, because she noticed, I think that for her, marriage has been a sort of a rape. You know, it was the fate of our grandmothers. She would have liked to leave right away, but she couldn't. She had to fulfill her duties as a wife and a mother. At the time, there was an epidemic of Spanish flu. She took care of the sick people, and in the meantime, her husband disappeared for months because he was afraid of falling ill.
I have photographs too, but what's really important is that Mother's here at my side. My mother's called Berthe La Traverse. I'm supposed to look like her. My mother plays an important part in my life. She is both part of my history and part of the history of Quebec, because she is among the women who mean the most to us.
We think she's beautiful.
I hope that Jan's mother will resemble her.
I hope that at 70, I'll be as handsome as she is.
Do you think your daughter looks like you?
Yes, indeed.
It's the first time you appear on a film or on television?
Yes, of course, the first time.
Then they've been the losers.
We don't really know our mothers.
As a matter of fact, there are special programs for elderly ladies and aging mothers. They're pecked on the cheek, talked to pleasantly, and treated like children. Handsome young men are well paid to do the job.
Bonjour maman, ça va bien? En forme? Bon, elle a l'air à son. Malgré quoi?
Malgré l'âge.
Est-ce que vous dites votre âge?
Oh ben non.
Eh ben, coquette.
Peut-être à vous toute seule, mais pas un peu plus.
Ben, vous allez me le dire tout seul dans l'oreille, moi je veux le savoir, je suis très curieux, parce que les grands-mamans qui se conservent bien comme vous, des fois ils sont assez âgés puis ça paraît pas. Voulez-vous me le dire tout bas? Je vais mettre mon micro dans mon oreille, tout le monde va le savoir en même temps.
65.
On le sait là, je vous ai joint un tour là.
C'est pas personne.
Non. 65 ans, je le dis parce que ça me paraît pas, madame.
I dress, feed, care for, reassure, give warmth, sing, pray, and I wait. But I have the time. I'm only a woman who doesn't work. I feed, watch over, console, sing. I nurse, educate, comfort, love, and I wait. But I have the time. I'm only a woman who doesn't work.
personnel? Yeah, just a minute.
Bon, Caroline, on va changer de position.
OK.
T'as plus peur maintenant quand on tourne, hein?
Non.
Bon. On va te tourner vers la fenêtre.
OK.
Es-tu prête?
Oui.
On part. Bon, ça y est. Ça a bien été?
Oui.
Tu n'auras pas capable de faire ça. Bon, c'est pour beaucoup aussi. Il faut un petit peu. J'ai pas entendu. Je pense que je vais juste donner.
Une simple ou un double?
Double. Quand tu dis un bon, c'est
Ça veut dire deux.
Ça voulait un autre? Ça voulait un autre? Un petit?
I left the house to join you in the business world. thinking I would be with you. I often wonder if I am better off. I didn't come when I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I came when you needed me. When you needed my help. Operators for blouses and sports clothes, piecework. Experienced operators, overlock machines. Plain, zigzag women's underwear, good working conditions. Sewing machine operators with factory experience. Operators for buttonhole machines, experience in making buttonholes. Key punch, minimum 2 years experience, 21 to 30 years of age. Evening or day courses, also courses on Saturday. Key punch, IBM 029, 059, 129. Typist and dictaphone operator for 3 to 6 months. Key punch, 3 years experience or more. Initiative and a sense of responsibility. Key punch operator for the 129 machine. Key punch, client, the business section. Looking for an alphanumerical operator 129 with experience. Agreeable atmosphere, friendly working conditions, training given for new machines.
I have to finish Mr. Dufresne's report, which must be ready for 5, so it's really impossible. My babysitter's there till 5:30, so I really can't stay. All right, I'll do my best. I'll stay. Yes, thank you, sir. Hello, Marie. It's Louise. I'm sorry to disturb you. I was wondering if you could possibly stay a bit later tonight until about 7? I know, I'm sorry, but it's terribly important. I have to stay until 7, but it's really an exception. I promise it won't happen again. There are chops in the Frigidaire if you want to cook yourself some supper. If you could make an omelet for the baby, that would be fine. And tell Claude I'll prepare his supper as soon as I get home.
Qu'est-ce que je vous apporte? Une pâtisserie? Tarte au sucre? Tarte au sucre, crème glacée? Pâtisserie. Puis de les breuvages? Oui. Café? Alors, ça fait 2 tartes au sucre, puis les pâtisseries. OK. 2 tartes au sucre et une crème glacée.
1 coffee, 1 hamburger, un jus d'orange, un crève king size, bon, 6 cafés, 2 thés seulement, un jus d'orange et un crève king size. C'est ça? Parfait. D'accord.
Waitresses with experience, day and night work, between 20 and 30 years old. Waitresses required for snack bar, smoked meat, and short order waitresses. Waitresses, barmaid, with room and board, with or without experience, pleasing appearance. Serious, bilingual typist, able to do general office work, agreeable voice on the phone. Bilingual woman, competent, 25, pleasing appearance, free to work after hours. Stenographer, perfectly bilingual, good appearance, resourceful, hardworking, age 17 to 25, reputable firm. Graduate nurse, part-time, nights. Operators with 5 years' experience or more to work on overlock machines, good salary. Bilingual secretary, under 30, with initiative for general office work. Young girls required for photography, interesting work, and salary. Waitresses required from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Pretty girls from 18 to 30 years of age, very good salary, to be discussed. Girls requested for general work.
A dozen red roses. Well, it's for a wedding anniversary, so you might write, thank you for 14 years of happiness. And just sign Philippe. Yes, I think rather than 12 roses, make it 14 for 14 years.
My son the doctor, my son the lawyer, my son the MP, my son the engineer.
Ni en anglais, ni en français. C'est le langage du cœur.
Non, ça, je l'avais compris. As-tu besoin de préfecture? Oui. Only come to me when you're looking for a broad. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be sure that you're a man. Besides, you don't even look at me. There are times when I'm not even sure of being a woman. You know, a real woman, who is loved for always. The kind a man marries.
You know what I mean. You have one at home. I'd like you to bring her with you, just once, so I could talk to her. But you'd pretend not to know me in front of your wife. You only speak about me when you're with the boys, at the office, or out drinking. Or else you never talk about it, and keep it all to yourself. I've been a call girl. I've been a stripper. I dance almost naked. And yet you still don't see me. It's true they've always spoken ill of me. I've symbolized lust, sin, the devil, temptation. How many layers must be peeled off to discover that deep down my body has remained intact? And yet it's been exploited and humiliated in so many ways. For publicity, for scandal, and for profit. It's time we took back our own bodies and learned how to live in them. Because only then will they regain their real beauty. Let's have our very own striptease. One that won't hurt, for once. This might shock you or embarrass you, but look at me just the same. Because I'm strong, courageous, and of comely appearance, I'm still a fille du roi. You call me Valérie. One day they dreamed up a Valérie. A homegrown Valérie, one of us. It was our first real skin flick. At last, the uncensored body of La Québécoise. As if all those old lies were about to be unmasked. But there is no real Valérie. Except, perhaps, inside your own head. I am a woman like all the others. Like your wife. Don't turn away. See me as I am. This is the real me. If you could only take me as I am, and love my body with the marks of my life on it. Because the things that have marked it are our children, our love,
our worries, my fears, your absences, the years, the nights that we lived together. You should recognize those marks. They are me. Where are you off to in that big world of yours? Are your dreams rife with violence? Are your plans set on gold? It can't go on much longer. You and I must talk while there is yet time. I want to hear you speak of love. Because if ever I stopped mending, if ever I stopped arranging flowers, if ever I stopped loving, if ever, if ever, if ever.